It's the DORK Podcast. It's the DORK Podcast. Rich Keith. It's the DORK Podcast. Hashtag. It's the hashtag DORK Podcast.
Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Hashtag Dork. My name is Rich Keefe, joined as always by Davey Eyeballs. He is Rumble Von Dumble. He is promo code Ron Von D. All hail the king of ginger ale. It's Ryan. Davey, how are you?
I was good until you okey doked me with the goddamn. You come in at different times. You always catch me off guard with the.
Just gonna let you know that we're not messing around today.
Did you load up Wendy Williams into that thing?
Did I load up Wendy Williams into that thing, Ryan?
And she probably got 5 new boyfriends. We haven't caught anybody coming out of the house yet, but you know, just a matter of time. She's not lonely. I apologize.
Thanks to Goo for first sending that in our direction. And a lot of people said, well, if that doesn't make the soundboard, just what are we even doing here?
What are we even doing?
We talked about the air a couple last week on Rush and Keefe, and it was just, it's funny every single time.
The burp fart.
I mean, like I said, when we say, like, if you burp and don't fart or sneeze and don't fart, what a win. What an absolute victory that is.
Well, the other thing too is, like, if she like, sometimes burps do sneak up on you like that, but that means in my head, because this is how I'm messed up, right? So in my head, I do this quick math, and I'm like, all right, so if she burped like that, that means she was holding in that fart for a very long time.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
But I also love the context of it, where she's sitting up there just ripping into Kim Kardashian for being like a floozy or whatever, and she's just like so like pristine, and then
order ivory tower.
Oh, I love it. Oh, speaking of, so this, I don't know the full story yet, but at the tail end of today's Gresh and Keefe, one of our producers, John Anderson, you know him, Davey, from your Steely Dan arguments on Twitter.
Oh, Jesus Christ. What are we talking? I don't get it. Stop.
That's the point. This is really a story that he told on the air, so people heard this. He went on a date this weekend. I'm sure a lovely young lady, and in his words, he, quote, had an accident in his pants. Now, obviously, that could be taken several different ways. I thought maybe he cummed himself.
That's exactly what I thought of too.
No, he shit his pants
on the date.
He shit his pants on the date, and he said, rather than just be like, that's it, I'm done, 45 more minutes with this lady.
Sitting in his own shit? 45 minutes? Like, I'm more worried about health at this point. Like, you're going to get an infection.
That was actually John Anderson on his date. No, anyway, so and then he ran into the bathroom and heard this.
Occupied. I'm gonna be here all night, dude.
My favorite line from Along Came Polly is when he goes running into the bathroom. Remember, he has like the Mexican.
Yeah, he has the IBS. Yeah,
the guy was occupied, and then he's sitting. He goes, he like waits for a second. Goes, I'm gonna be here all night, dude.
So I need more context. So
So I asked him,
was it something he ate? Was it something like,
I don't know yet. I told him he's gonna have to. He gave us the ending. He's now gonna have to Tarantino this thing the rest of the week.
Oh God, you can't just say like I shit my pants on a date and then have that be the end of it.
Well, because we do a thing at the end of the show where we all just have like a 2-minute like quick hitter. Like all 4 of us get to say something, and that was his. And we were just like, what? So but I go, how did she not notice? And he said they were outdoors. And then he said there was a brief car ride with the windows down. We got like a million text messages of people being like, you need to go to the bathroom. You need to get rid of what you have, clean yourself up, and get back out there. Never sit in it.
You don't sit in it.
So he sat in it.
There was once, are we telling poop stories? Do we do poop stories?
Kind of mostly what the podcast is.
We've and I'm with
man, I'm gonna clean mine.
Michael Douglas said she 100% knew. She did. She absolutely knew.
Oh yeah. Find out tomorrow.
Absolutely. There was a time in college where I No, I'm not going to tell the story right now. This is off the air stuff, but I'm not going to tell the story.
Okay, well that's fine.
Yeah.
Great setup.
It would actually take too long. The setup is like the punchline isn't that good, and the story would take too long to set up.
I didn't tell it, but so you can, but you'll tell it at a later date.
Yeah.
All right, but anyway, so I'll unpack that. So another reason to tune into Aggression Keith, because you never know what's going to happen. So we will flush out, if you will, that story. But this poor lady, and she stuck with him for almost an hour after the fact.
And she absolutely knew, because something. There had to be a part of that date where, because she could look in his face and know that something has gone horribly wrong.
Something's gone wrong, and then hopefully she didn't start to think, was this my fault? Because no, it was not your fault.
No, and then he looks at her and beckons as if to say,
hey, join me.
Come join me.
Join me.
This week in DORK.
All right, Ryan, we are into the Sweet 16 of the hashtag Dork Madness, as we were trying to find out what is the best TV character of all time.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a lot of upsets along the way, but I feel like now we've started to be chalk a little bit more here.
Yes.
Walter White's, your George Costanza's, your Homer Simpson, and it'll be interesting. So we'll start that up, the voting on Twitter at Dork Podcast coming up this week.
And what I was actually really excited about is as the matchups went on, there were some really good ones. Like, so I think it was Walter White, Jesse Pinkman.
That one's coming up.
Which to me, I don't vote, but
he just beat. So the Breaking Bad guys did all really well.
Mm-hmm.
So Walter White just beat Saul Goodman.
Yep.
And now is going up against Jesse Pinkman in the next round.
Right.
So that'll be pretty good. That'll be pretty good. So again, you can vote. We'll have this wrapped up within the week over at Dork Podcast on Twitter. Ryan, the first episode, the debut of The Falcon and the Winter Soldier on Disney Plus debuted on Friday. It was about a 45-minute episode. It's one of 6 in the season. What'd you think?
It was quite good. It was the opening action sequence of this was one of the better I've ever seen out of the Marvel extended cinematic universe.
Yeah, it was very good. Good job of showing off some Falcon stuff and showing off some Winter Soldier stuff.
But like, how good was George St. Pierre?
Yeah, and so bringing him back,
right?
Bring his character back, and yeah,
so
he was good.
He was good, and this isn't a spoiler, but like wingsuits flying into helicopters several times.
Never not
sick.
Cool. Never not
cool. Sick.
Yeah, that was really good. I also think this show, kind of the way in a different take, but WandaVision had some really serious moments. This show's definitely gonna have some serious moments, and without giving anything away, I think some of the same vibes that you even got in like Watchmen, I think you're gonna get into the, like, real world stuff is gonna happen in this.
Yeah, and one of the things that, and again, not a spoiler, but like one of the things that people were going bananas on Twitter about is like people are super surprised that like the Avengers like don't get paid.
Yeah,
like,
that was interesting. So like, again, I think these shows allow you to do a little bit more of like the universe like discussions or stuff that we would talk about. So they're going to talk about the blip in like that more. WandaVision did a good job of like people returning 5 years later. Yeah. And this show like talking about, so how do you guys get paid? Like, does Stark just, when he was alive, RIP, does he give you money? Like,
yeah, no, he funds everything, but he doesn't pay us. Is the answer, right?
Yeah. So I obviously it's going to be good, and so we'll probably do an episode in 2 weeks at the midway point and check in on the show at that point. Venom: Let There Be Carnage, aka Venom 2, has been delayed 3 months from June to September 17th.
As long as it stays in 2021, I think we're okay.
That was one of our movies. So let's hope so. Ryan, should we get to America's favorite game at this point?
Let's do it.
All right, folks. Should I have bought this? This is the game where you send us a picture of something that you bought, a brief description, and the price, and Davey and I will answer the question, should I have bought this? Let's first start up with a mutual friend of ours, the Fridge.
Good friend Fridge.
He emailed dorkpodcast@gmail.com. That's where you can do it. Also, we get a DM on Instagram if you want to do it that way, a little workaround there, or you can DM us on Twitter, whatever. It's all open. Email's probably the easiest, but whatever, however you live your life, that's fine. This is the item that Fridge bought. This, and again, you can watch and stream these episodes every Monday night, youtube.com/dork podcast. So the viewer can see the item. The listener will now hear our brief description of it. This is, in his words, an officially licensed Joe Boo figure from the 1989 film Major League. Anything else to add to that, Ryan?
You can see the Major League logo between Joe Boo's feet, that being the baseball with the sunglasses and the mohawk, letting you know it's a little bit of a bad boy movie.
I can't help but imagine that it is offensive.
It's super offensive.
I would imagine it's quite offensive.
It also looks like, knowing Brian like I do, or sorry, the Fridge, like I do.
Yeah, right.
This looks like it is in the corner of his basement where his wife and children don't need to look at it ever.
Well, actually, let me pull up the brief description that he did give us. He said, normally displayed on my desk at the office, but brought home when COVID hit to keep my makeshift workspace to scare my kids away. And again, a very important part of this, $45. $45 for a little statue of Joe Boo, which again, I'm guessing they don't make anymore. Maybe they do.
They do not make that anymore. I don't think. Not only that, but Goo paid how much for Star-Lord?
Ooh,
$50? Was it $50?
I think it might have been 50 for that nice.
Okay, so that's $5 less. I say buy it. I say you get a Joe Boo if you can get it.
This is how we do it. This is how we do it.
I had that.
This is how we do
Do it again.
This is how we do it.
There you go.
$45. Now again, everybody when he goes to work, every single person is going to see that on his desk and going to want to talk about it.
That's also true. Yep.
You know?
Mm-hmm. That is definitely true. They'll talk to him about it. Again, I don't know if everybody's going to be on board with that piece. But that's kind of where
if you say Jesus Christ can't hit a curveball,
true,
then maybe they're going to have an issue with it. But yeah.
No, that's true. So the other thing, Ryan, and let me see if I can. Let me add this other one too. So basically, how we play, for those of you that are late to it, I already told you what you send in, and we take a look at it. But the other key to this whole thing is Davey and I, because there's only 2 votes. I'll say yes or no. You'll say yes or no. If it's unanimous, it's easy. If there's a tiebreaker, we look to the YouTube chat. First one we see, yes or no. That
okay.
Makes sense?
So yeah, on your toes, people.
All right, this next one comes in from Dave. Dave on Instagram. This is, again for the listener, a 1999 Pokemon game playing card. It is a Charizard hologram. He said it's not first edition, but it is the hologram. And it looks like it's got a grading of 8. You can see it's in some protective package in there.
It says near mint to mint, rating of 8. So
you and I, again, don't know a ton about Pokemon. I did run it by our Pokemon expert, Chris Scheim. He was impressed with the card. He also told me what he thought it would be worth. Do you want me to tell you how much Dave paid for this Pokemon Charizard card?
I first want you to tell me just how erect Chris Scheim was looking at this. Could he stand up straight?
Yeah, he did 1 cock push-up. He was able to do 1. How much do you think that Dave... Oh, by the way, the brief story with Dave is the stimulus check he received.
Oh, Jesus,
he
no.
got a stimmy, and then he went out and bought this card for a flex. He wanted to flex on people with this card.
So this tells me that it's under $1,400.
Correct.
But not much.
Well, it's...
Oof. And again, like you said, I have no earthly way of knowing how expensive these things are, because again, this kind of missed us.
Yeah, I'm not an expert on it.
I'm not a Pokemon guy.
But
$500?
He spent $800 on this Charizard.
What?
$800. And he said it's not even first edition. It's $800.
Now, is this like an investment? Is this like something that he is going to go up in price?
That I can speak to. Scheim thought it was more, and he said he's not a price expert, but he would have guessed more like $300. So even Shime thinks this is a little rich for his blood. I like collectibles. I like playing cards. I like things of this nature. He's obviously into it. It does seem aggressively high, though, Ryan.
That does seem aggressively high. I mean, you got to figure for a decent car, that is 2 car payments.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Easy. Yeah.
That for living in the greater Boston area, that's probably your rent for a month.
800. Sure.
And you need roommates for that. But
so Michael in the chat says first edition grade 9 is like 30 grand.
Come on.
So, but he said it's not first edition and it's a grade 8. So I'm not even saying he got ripped out. The point, the issue isn't did he get ripped off? It's just,
no. We're not talking about that. We're not talking about that.
I'm sure he got a good deal on it. It's just, should he have gotten this Pokemon playing card? Should he have bought this for $800?
For the right person, I'm going to say yes, but I'm going to say no on this one. I'm going to say no, and I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Dave.
Yeah, I think it's a no for me too, dog, because it's just, I just think of one purchase like that for $800, like all the stuff. I feel like all of the other items that got sent to us over the weekend, and we got a bunch of emails. And so if we didn't get to you this week, we'll get to you next week. And if you haven't sent something in and you want to, please do. I feel like all that other stuff combined was like $800. You could have bought everybody else's stuff, and you. But again, I hope you're happy with it. This is just how we play the game here. You don't want to end on a sad one, do you?
No, I don't want to end on a sad one, but also I do want to say this too. Where my mind goes with these things is what I could do with that money.
Yeah, it's a lot of money.
You know what I mean? That's a lot of money. And for the right person, Dave, right? Dave sent this in.
Dave sent it in. So shout out to Dave. Respect.
If he loves it, and this every time he looks at it, it makes him happy. Awesome. I'm just not spending $800 on it.
I'm looking around, and my car, computer, TV, obviously like my wife's engagement ring. That is I don't know what else I've spent that's over $800. You know what I mean? Like, good for him for doing it, but and maybe that speaks more to me being a little cheapskate.
Not at once. I mean, my computer is
over
$800, but I did not in one shot.
Yeah, crazy.
Yeah.
Do you want to do one more? Or should we move on?
Let's do one more. Let's end on a high note here.
Let's do one more because this one I think you might like it, but I could be wrong. I've been wrong before. This one comes in from Jeff, who it's a original, or actually I shouldn't say original, but it's an old school Halloween lunchbox and a Halloween thermos, John Carpenter's Halloween, not just the holiday. And you got a nice Michael Myers picture there. Looks like there's some bats, those are leaves.
Those are leaves. They do look like bats, though. You're right.
And $24.99.
That's an absolute. If you told me that was $50, I'd be like, get it. Mm-hmm. That was $25.
$25.
I will up that. Where did you get it?
He's not here.
Can you? Is he here? He's not behind you.
How we do it. This is how we do it.
All right, we like to be more positive here on this program. So congratulations, Jeff, for an absolute. This is how we do it. That is good stuff. So you'll be eating lunch in style.
Yeah, but like the other thing too is we need to know where he got that, because I need to see what else they have. You know?
Yeah, that's true. So Jeff, email us back again. Let us know where you got that bad boy.
Hell yeah.
So again, shoot us an email, dorkpodcast@gmail.com. Should I have bought this? It's everybody's favorite game. Oop, I don't want that on the screen. Here we go. We'll figure that out. So very, 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 very good stuff.
It's time for Davey's video game minute. Even if it takes more than a minute.
All right, Davey, what do you have, sir?
Well, as you know, as always, this portion of the program is powered by our good friends at Wild Bill Soda. Go to drinkwildbillsoda.com. Use the promo code Ron Von D. Get yourself a nice little discount on some soda pop. Maybe even get one of these cool insulated mugs that I drink literally everything out of.
Yeah, what's the best thing in there? Probably a soda, or did you do your
right
coffee?
Now? So this is a black cherry soda right now. You can see it's in there.
Green.
Coffee. It's great for. I have my coffee in the morning. You pack it with ice. The ice stays in it. Your hot stay hot. Your cold stay cold. Get yourself a mug.
What more do you want?
They used to have cool tankards too.
Okay, I like that.
Look like big, yeah. Anyway, so very sad. We're going to start again. We like to end positive. We like to end positive here, but we're going to start negative. People are really pissed about this, Richard. It came out today that they are shutting down the PlayStation 3 store, and as well as PlayStation Vita and the PSP. You can no longer download digital games for a PlayStation 3, your PlayStation Vita, or your PSP. Now,
it's time to move on.
I agree that it's time to move on, but there has never been a stronger argument for buying physical copies of games, because now, like with everything being backwards compatible, if you have those games, you can play them, but you can never play them again.
Is so PS5 actually backwards compatible?
Yes.
All the way to 1 and 2?
I believe so. If you have the physical copies of the games.
Well, yeah. So if I popped in Tekken 3.
Yeah, I mean, if it's still... Jesus Christ. I mean, when you had that thing, remember we were smearing toothpaste on that thing to get it to work?
I would lick it. I would just lick the
Yeah, we'd lick it and like blow on it. Like,
that probably wouldn't work, but...
And there was an audible cheer in the room when you got the... when it like actually went to like the PlayStation thing. Like people,
that's the best feeling.
So people were pretty pissed about that. But here's something that people are both happy and pissed about. The new update for the Square Enix Marvel Games Avengers game came out for next-gen consoles. It's awesome. The game experience is so much better. I think the load times went from something like 2 minutes to 10 seconds.
Oh, I like that.
The frame rate is off the charts. Well, it's like 60. It's like 60 frames, but it plays awesome. There's no more blur. There's no more frame rate drops. There's none of that stuff. So that's great. And also they dropped the Hawkeye storyline. The Kate Bishop one had come out. Now they're just announced that Black Panther is coming, as well as Spider-Man coming in the summer. So all of these things are great, but doesn't it frustrate you a little bit that it's been almost a year since that came out, and they're just starting to fix it? And like that's what's frustrating.
Problems, just like everything else, but stay positive and stay strong.
You have to.
I think
Josh gets it
for the Avengers game or anything else in life.
But this is. But now I'm. We just found out that Arkham Knights is getting delayed, and I really think that games are starting to with this issue, because they're still hurting from this.
Yeah.
Assassin's Creed Valhalla is falling victim to this. Cyberpunk, like people are rushing these games out, and now you're going to have games take a step back. Let's wait 2 months so we don't have to do this shit.
Well, and selfishly, I'm happy that Gotham Knights is taking its time, because I better have a PS5 by the time that game comes out.
You better have a PS5, and that game better be fucking butthole tight.
Yeah.
When it comes out. I don't want any issues with that game. I want it to play like a dream.
Take your time, because we are going to play the balls off that thing.
Oh, the both of us, because it's co-op.
Yeah. We get more people going on that. I got dibs on Red Hood, but
that was never a question.
Can you characters?
In movie and TV news related to video games, they are rebooting Resident Evil. It's the working title of the movie is Welcome to Raccoon City. So they're actually doing more Resident Evil movies. And come on.
Come on, the Resident Evil movies.
So yeah, I don't think Paul W.S. Anderson is directing them this time around, which is nice. So Mila Jovovich isn't going to be in it. She doesn't have to be in every video game movie. I know it's kind of out there that she has to be, but she doesn't.
When reached for comment, Paul W.S. Anderson said,
in TV news, so Neil Druckmann was talking about the Last of Us TV series, which started filming recently.
Yeah.
And they said that the show itself is going to be set within the first game, but I'll read what he said here. Set in the first game, but a new story that will at times deviate greatly from the game. How do you feel about that?
So my initial thought was, oh, that sucks. But then I was also like, well, I've played the game and I love the game. So if I'm going to watch the show, I kind of do want it to do a little something different. So I'm okay.
Because you don't want to know what's going to happen. You need some surprises. And I think what would work now is if you had before they were you have Ellie and Joel, who obviously we know are the main characters in the game, their lives before they met each other, because there was that gap. When Ellie was on, there was a little bit of that, and they did a prequel with Ellie and her friend, but Joel working in Boston. So that would be kind of sweet. And then at the end, they kind of come together and you get to whatever. But
it's an HBO show. I trust it to be pretty good.
And we are a month away from the opening day of the Dig Dads.
Oh, that's right. Twitch.tv/RVonD. You can check out the Dig Dads. Davey's moved on from the Red Sox, now the San Diego Padres.
Yes, the fathers, the Dig Dads, if you didn't pick up on that. So we're going to be playing as the Padres. We got Padres gear coming.
Oh, good.
We get seeds ready.
Fuck. If
Right?
you like baseball, you tune into this. That's what
It's
it's all
fun.
about. You know, have it
fun.
around, have a catch.
Yeah, I have all my what do you call it? Brockmeyer sound bites all loaded up into the thing. We're ready to go.
All you need.
And what's up next for me? So people are asking what games I've been playing. I started playing Celeste, which is a really cool game. It's a little like platformer puzzle game, which is actually pretty sweet. There's a game called Horror Story Hollow Seed, which comes from a single developer, this guy named John Winter. He did the game and the score for the game. You might have heard of John Winter before. He ran with a guy named Thaddeus Sphinx on the Colgate Comedy Hour.
It's no Roy Donk.
He's no Roy Donk, but it's a first-person horror story, which he describes. It has a dense story. It fancies randomly generated micro scares. So you're like walking around like this deserted town where like everyone's dead kind of thing. And he said he drew inspiration for the game from Insidious and The Exorcism of Emily Rose.
Last week, I saw a film. As I recall, it was a horror film.
I'm in.
Sounds good, right?
I'm in on this. Yeah.
And it's in early access right now, so it's like $15 on Steam. So I'm going to check that thing out. That's going to be my next thing.
Okay. I love it.
And that's it.
Ryan, are you ready for the topic du jour?
I said that's it.
Well, I'm glad you asked because it's the topic of the day. And today it is Zack Snyder's Justice League, aka the Snyder Cut. We've been waiting for some time. The ad campaign made it feel like we were waiting even longer for it. It was a 4-hour and 2-minute movie released on HBO Max. Last check on Rotten Tomatoes, 74% by the critics, 96% by the audience. And just as a comparison, the theatrical release that came out in 2017 of Justice League, 40% critics, 71% audience. We will start out as we do with all of our movie and TV reviews, spoiler free. Let me ask you, Ryan, did you like it?
Yes, and I'm fucking pissed about it. I'm fucking pissed about it.
Why are you pissed about it? What's your problem?
Because we'll get into it with I'm like,
What's your problem?
my problem is, Richard,
You have a problem.
I have a problem.
I'm a
And it's not with Zack Snyder, it's not with the movie. It's with Joss fucking Whedon. Like, how do you, if you're Joss Whedon,
Yeah.
how do you show your face in a production meeting ever again?
It really called into how awful that one was.
Like,
I watched it.
What the fuck?
I watched it in the theater. We did an episode on it. I actually, because, you know, as time goes on, I completely forgot what I originally gave it. So I went back. All of our episodes on EEI are available in the archive. So if anything over the last 3 or 4 years that you think we talked about, search it out. It might be there. I went back. It's an early episode, Justice League. It's kind of funny that I said this. I gave it a 4 out of 6. And I said, I even said, I know it's recency bias. I know I'm going to drop it a whole stone in a week. And it's at least a whole stone less.
Absolutely. What did I give it? A 2?
No, you said 3.5.
Okay.
But I think we both like quickly soured on it. But we also said, like, I'll never want to watch this again or think about it again.
No, I would say I would drop mine to a soft 3 at this point, maybe a 2.5 for the Whedon cut.
Yeah. I think the Whedon cut is so bad. And so this is just, it's different. And as you're watching, and what I did was, I don't know how many people listening to this did the same thing, but I rewatched, because it's also on HBO Max. I rewatched Justice League.
Same.
And so the scenes that were the same, I like knew right away. I'm like, oh, this is the scene. And like they might change a line or they might change a shot, or obviously the CGI, which we'll get to, is a lot different. But you're like, all right, so this is where he was going. This is what it was supposed to do. But again, one of the big criticisms of the whole thing, because okay, so for me, I also liked it, and we'll get into it. But for a 4-hour movie, all this proved to me was actually a couple things. One, you already said it, the Joss Whedon version was trash. 2, you weren't supposed to make Justice League this early in the DCEU.
No.
We talked about it at the time. The Avengers was the 6th movie in the MCU. This was the, I think, 3rd or 4th movie in DC. They shouldn't have shotgunned this, because you needed 4 hours to map it out and show backstory and show these characters,
and specifically with 2 characters, which we will get in. You know exactly what I'm going to say, and it was what I'm so upset about. That they had to do this and basically retcon everything that Joss Whedon did, because not only is what he did not good from a filmmaking standpoint. It's despicable as a human being.
Yeah.
What he did.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like
scumbag. Yeah.
And I'm so pissed that like this guy was given entree. And I remember saying too that like, oh, it's going to be in good hands. It's in Whedon's hands. It's going to be in good hands. And we said that out loud. And now like thinking about it, like I'm pissed. And you know me, and this is going to be hard for me to say. I'm going to get emotional. I was wrong.
How about
it
that?
was not in good hands. This was not a decent movie.
No.
Like, fuck Joss Whedon. And I'm saying that in my house with an earshot of, oh, my wife hates him too. It's fine.
I think in a weird way, we were both wrong. I think Zack Snyder deserves a bit of an apology, because
he does.
I'm not going to say I didn't like Man of Steel or Batman v Superman, and that was also Zack Snyder. But Justice League felt like it may have killed the DCEU, and that was clearly a Joss Whedon problem. But also, whoever greenlit it was like, hey, let's catch up to Marvel right now. You're not going to do that. Here's what's needed to happen. Do a Superman movie, and you know what? Make it Man of Steel. That's fine. Not my favorite, but other people like it. Make Man of Steel. Make a Batman movie. Make a Wonder Woman movie. How about this for a curveball? Make a Lex Luthor movie. Make a Aquaman movie. And then either Cyborg or Flash, or like you got to get these guys involved a little bit more, either in those properties or not. Think about the Avengers. There was 2 Iron Man movies, a Captain America movie, a Thor movie, and a Hulk movie. And Black Widow and Hawkeye and Nick Fury were like sprinkled in all of those, or like half of those.
Yeah. I mean, there was not enough setup for what we got the first time around. Now,
so they absolutely bungled that. And that's why, again, because I was like 4 hours, what the fuck? But it needed it. It needed it. Now, it's ridiculous, because I even thought like Endgame 3 hours, like that's a long time, but that's an hour shorter than this movie. And let me just conclusion of everything. This was supposed to be sort of like a launch, because we'll get to it, but even in Snyder's Cut, like the way that it's set up, this wasn't the be all end all.
No, there's a lot of questions that come after this too. But let me just say this too, just to clarify. This movie is not perfect. It is not without its faults. It has some things that I didn't like, but it is far superior to the original. And like you, I watched the original, I think like Wednesday, and watched this Friday. So like I had just seen it. So like I had a very clear picture in my head of what was different. And again, I don't understand. And now, like, okay, well, I got to get into spoilers. We got to get into spoilers.
So the first Justice League was just so bad, and really, I just was like, probably like, oh, cool, like the characters are all on the screen together, and that's why I gave it a 4. But in reality, it's a bad movie, and it doesn't even make sense. This, if you don't like it, fine, but you can't be like, what was the point of this? Like there was a point.
There absolutely was, and we were wrong. We were like, fuck this movie. This movie's gonna suck, and it didn't. And I'm so upset at myself that I've become so jaded.
Hey, now, how did you end up watching this? And it wasn't because I thought it was a slog by any means. It was more of a timing issue. I had a 2.5 hour chunk to sit down, and then like a day later, I did a 90-minute chunk. So
it was in 6 parts, right?
Yeah, so they actually separated it out into 6 parts that all like acts, as you call it, and then
which was really smart, because I would like, when the black screen came up and it said like part 2, I was like, all right, I'm gonna refresh the bev. I'm gonna go to the bathroom. I'm gonna like and like you're gonna think I'm out of my mind, but I actually had a notebook, and I was actually like, I would pause it, take some notes, keep watching. So like it was perfect the way that they did it. If they did this episodically, I would have been pissed, because I'd be like,
and that's get it over with. Thought too. And no, I'm happier they did it this way. And so I was gonna ask you how it felt like, and for me, it's kind of unfair because it wasn't in one sitting. I would say it felt probably less than 4 hours. Though.
Oh yeah. I remember like pausing it at one point and being like, I think I got like 2 hours left, and it was like 40 minutes. I'm like, oh yeah, like we're doing okay. It moved right along.
Oh yeah. So I have the perfect comparison for how like these 2 movies came out, but it just happens to be the wrong order and in a comedy. It is very comparable to Anchorman. Anchorman had so much extra footage that they created a DVD only called Wake Up Ron Burgundy.
I got it.
Oh yeah, so do I. Oh, it's great.
Oh yeah.
It's actually pretty quotable and it's pretty funny, but there are definitely parts when you're watching it, it doesn't make sense because they're like, they had a separate story, and so they filmed some of that, but then they would sort of splice in stuff from the original movie, and it was basically a fun way to watch deleted scenes.
Mm-hmm.
But there was definitely parts that stuck out like, well, this doesn't really make sense. That's what the theatrical version of Justice League was fucking Wake Up Ron Burgundy.
Yeah.
And Anchorman was the Snyder Cut.
And it was like, like you said, it was cobbled together with like, and one of the things that really annoys me about DC, as I told you, is like, they have these villains who are just trying to like destroy the world for no reason. And in the Whedon cut, it was like Steppenwolf's like, I'm going to destroy this planet and make it like mine, which was like kind of a piece of shit planet. And you're like, why? And you're like, don't worry about that.
CGI. He looks like an asshole too the whole time.
And then in Suicide Squad, they're like, oh, the what's her name wants to come back and take over the world. They're like, why? Like, doesn't matter, you know. So
yeah.
And to find out that wasn't the thing all along, like that wasn't his motivation, was bullshit. It pissed me off.
Also, it is, and I know that I said I gave it a 4, you gave it a 3.5, but anybody who loved Justice League really exposes themselves as being just like I'll like anything that DC puts out, like the DC fanboy, because even Snyder, the director of the goddamn movies, like that movie sucked. That wasn't my cut. This is my cut. So you can't like both of them.
And I'm glad he's saying that now.
Yeah, me too. How would you compare this to the rest of the DCEU? Because obviously they've had movies since Justice League, including Shazam, Birds of Prey, Wonder Woman 1984.
I mean, a lot of it makes some of it better. Like it makes the whole universe better because like we need to get into spoilers, but like I'll just say that like a lot of those movies are now better because you have more of an idea of like who these people are.
Oh, that reminds me. There's another reason why this movie, I liked it. It is difficult, though, to properly kind of like rank it and review it because you get the added of you saw the first Justice League. Like, we never should have seen that. We would have seen this. And so you know how bad it could have been. And we saw that. Also, Aquaman, his solo movie didn't come out until after Justice League. Therefore, you wouldn't have felt as much of a connection to him or Mira or Vulko. So like, whatever, maybe it doesn't matter to you, but it's just like, there's more of a story to him that you now just subconsciously know that you wouldn't have known the first time.
Right. And I liked getting more Vulko than I did Mira.
Yeah. Well, is that because of who's playing Mira?
No, I think he's a more important character to Aquaman than Mira is.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure.
You know, but yeah, I mean, shit. I think the outlier here is Shazam. Shazam is good in its own right, and I think that's just a good movie.
Yes.
Wonder Woman is good, but I think this is right there. Like this movie.
If you want to count two Justice League movies as two different movies, this is the 10th movie, and I'll tell you right now, as we stand here on March the 22nd, 2021, Zack Snyder's Justice League is the best movie in the DCEU. And before you say, Keith, you're crazy, let me say this.
I don't think you're crazy.
There's only there's only 4 possible answers for what's the best movie that they've put out.
Mm-hmm.
And it would be Shazam, it would be Birds of Prey, it would be the first Wonder Woman, and this. I was much higher in Birds of Prey than a lot of other people, but I would say those are the only 4 that you could, with a straight face, say is the best. I think they're all very closely ranked. Like if you're just doing like big picture all comic book movies, they're all pretty close. But I would say, and maybe it's recency bias, but I would say this is the best one.
I'm gonna stay with Shazam as the best one, and I'm gonna go. But the other thing, Shazam's another one of those movies that's like the bad guys are the bad guys. Why? Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Well, who's the bad guy in Shazam?
The fucking guy.
You can't tell me. You know what I mean? So like that's an issue that they have. But here it was very clear. It was very, very clear who it was and why they were doing what they were doing.
And wasn't it like I found myself too, even though I just watched the theatrical version, I'm like, oh my God, like how did they possibly sell this off? Like with you're cutting out several major parts. It was mind blowing. But all right.
It was infuriating.
Anything else non-spoiler?
No, I gotta get to spoilers.
All right, what's your dork score?
4.5.
Yeah, I want a strong, sturdy, fully erect 4.5, which in the right hands can do some damage.
And not only that, but like,
come on, it's a good.
No. I mean, that's a good joke. That's a good joke. I'm not going to skip over that. But this is like a hard. I would retcon the original, the Whedon one, to a 2.5, 3.
Yeah,
and this is a 4.5.
And because I would say, forget
not perfect.
Whatever I ranked like Wonder Woman, Shazam, and Birds of Prey before, I'd probably put them all, I guess, right at the 4.5 mark. And I would say this is sort of the top of that. Because
I'm gonna
easier greater in the past.
I'm gonna take this a step further. When I do, because I do want to watch this again when they drop the black and white one. That might bump it up to a 5.
That's gonna look pretty cool.
That's gonna look really cool.
Yep. All right, let's get to it then.
Spoilers! Spoilers! Here come the spoilers!
All right, spoilers time for the Snyder Cut. And it's funny, you and I did not speak about this movie since we both watched it. I had no idea. I thought you might hate it. I was expecting you to hate it, so I'm actually kind of surprised that you liked it.
I hate that I have to like talk about this because, as Frank Costanza once said in the episode of Festivus, I got it's the airing of grievances, and I got a lot of problems with you people, and now you're all going to hear about it, right? Now, the pros and cons that we can go over, where I really want to get to, is at the tip of both of our tongues, is how Joss Whedon completely fucking cut Cyborg out of this movie. I will never understand, because that was one of the more compelling characters in the whole goddamn movie. And you see Ray Fisher go on Twitter and be like, fuck this guy. And then he gets cut. So he goes off, he runs his mouth against Joss Whedon, and then gets cut out of the Flash movie.
Terrible.
Completely.
He was good. And I remember you even saying 4 years ago when we did the other movie that Cyborg, you needed more Cyborg.
Yeah.
Like, obvious at the time. He was good. He was great. I loved him. I loved the character. I love the backstory, the relationship with his dad, the whole thing. Cyborg was good. The Flash was good. Darkseid is a very important character to this movie, and he wasn't in the other fucking version. There was like they kind of alluded to him, but it was a shitty looking version of Steppenwolf, which I also found hilarious in this movie. Was that Steppenwolf CGI, and we saw it before the movie, like because it was in all the trailers, like he looked so much better, but when he was like weak, he looked like the shit version from the other movie.
I know when he took like the armor was so much cooler, because remember he was wearing like a stupid helmet.
He looked,
and then the armor was like alive, and it was kind of like a Iron Man kind of armor, like you could take it off by pieces, and he like the horns looked really dumb,
so bad.
And the other one too was like
Darkseid's legit. Darkseid is such a big bad in the DC universe. And to not even really have him in there, and then to gloss over Cyborg and the Flash, who are two characters that we had never seen. I guess there was, that scene in was it Batman v Superman where they look at the monitors and they see him, and
they see like the Omega, like in the nightmare scene.
For Darkseid, sorry, but for Cyborg and the Flash, Cyborg was in like they knew of him, and the Flash. He would like popped up for a second in Suicide Squad, but like we didn't know them. And can you get over the nightmare scene? It set up Flashpoint. It set up in the Injustice storyline. Like it set like all of this stuff that you could have like. And Snyder said there's no direct sequel to Justice League in the works right now, but he opened up this whole thing that like you could play with. Like I have all of this stuff I can do. Classic DC. They finally get a really good movie, and then they're like, well, now the universe is dead. It's like, you made all these other shitbum movies. Now I want to see what they're going to do and how they're going to spin off Batman and
oh my God,
Martian Manhunter. The Martian Manhunter thing, by the way, saved it at the end, because I was a little annoyed if it was just the part where he was Martha Kent and was just talking to Lois Lane, like that one scene in like during the chunk of the movie.
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, that's really just like a shoehorn fan service thing, which again, I'm fine with fan service, but I'm like, but then when they painted off him in his full suit talking to Batman. I'm like, fuck, this is cool.
Well, I was annoyed with that too, because he's like, I'm finally ready. I got a stake in this, and I'm finally ready to like throw my hat in the ring. And it's like, bro, you've watched the world almost end 3 times, and now you're like, all right, here we go. You've seen the events of Man of Steel, you've seen the events of Batman v Superman, and you've seen technically Suicide Squad.
Yeah,
and now you're like, okay, I'm ready. Like,
guys, I wasn't paying attention then, but now I desperately want in.
Yeah.
Another reason why this movie was good, because it was 4 hours, and for I think 2:30, 2:40, there was no Superman. Because Superman stinks.
Yeah, I mean, but like he served a purpose in this. Like there was a
correct.
They mentioned, and this is what the 4 hours pays off, is because now you're like, okay, the reason that these aliens are coming to Earth is because Superman they know he's dead.
Yeah, that was really cool. Like they're like, we never had a problem before, and you're like, yeah, because they know.
And then it like clicks. They're like, oh shit.
Because that was a cool scene too. Because there was like Steppenwolf also. He mentions he's like, there's no lanterns there, and there's no Kryptonian, so it shouldn't be a fucking problem,
right?
But guess what, asshole? It was a problem.
There was a problem. There was a black suited Superman, and the black suit looked cool.
And I'll even give it when he was, and I know part of the scene was in the other version of Justice League when they first resurrect him, and the way he's flying looks like the Injustice fighting video games.
Yes,
like, flying towards him. I'm like, oh, this.
When he's like, he's just like
floating,
chest forward, floating towards him. Oh,
woo! So I actually, even though I don't like Superman, this was the best version of Superman. This was better than Man of Steel. It was better than Batman v Superman. The old school ones, maybe the first one I would say, but this might have been the best version of him, because also when he came back, he like was fully powered, and he was the only one. Like Steppenwolf didn't have a chance against him.
No, it was very quick.
He dominated him, but he should.
And that's the thing. Like,
right,
that would annoy me if that was a fight.
So that was awesome.
And it was not.
Because think about too. We should talk more about this movie, but the other Justice League, the quote climax scene against Steppenwolf, like what a shitbag fight that was, and how stupid that was. When they're in that like that whatever that structure was, and they're all fighting. You're like, what is this? What is this?
And the other thing too, what was the thing with the fucking Russian family that Whedon shoehorned in somehow?
Oh yeah, I don't know.
Like, what was that?
I don't know. Didn't need it.
And that was the one time you saw the Flash run, really.
And you know what I mean? Yeah, right. And you know who also kind of sucked in Justice League? The first one was Wonder Woman, and she was definitely better in this one.
Well, like, there's that like
more powerful in this one. She's more of like the brain. Her and Batman are the brains of the operation. Like she was definitely better.
Yeah, and there was a moment where like Batman's like, all right, I'm gonna draw them off. Like I'm gonna go and I'm gonna like, and they're like, you're an idiot. Have fun, right? And you see Diana kind of take on this like leadership role among the team, and you're like, good. Yes, like that's exactly what she should be doing. Like she's a leader. You know, Batman does his own thing. Like he's not the leader of the Justice League. He never has been.
No,
I mean he has been, but like you get
I know what you mean, because he also has the Bat family and just his own issues. And guess what? In some of those fights where you need the Justice League, you know, Batman has a Gatling gun and a batarang. You know, these are all superpowers.
But the joke was in the what Liam called the Justice League.
Oh,
but he's like, "What's your superpower?" He's like, "I'm rich."
Yeah, I'm rich. Yeah,
like which is funny, but it's also like,
he wasn't necessarily great in it. Not Ben Affleck, but just like the use of Batman. But part of it is you're going up against Steppenwolf. You're kind of going up against Darkseid's crew. So like he just wasn't as good.
No, but like he's useless there. I mean, not useless, but like he's out of the 6 of them. Like he's the least useful.
A great example of it is when they're showing up and he like drops them off, and he's in that like crazy like chop plane thing, and he's like, all right, and then he goes and has to shoot them down, because you're like, yeah, because these guys can all fly or run super fast or whatever. But also, did you even get a sense in the first movie what Cyborg's like powers were? Whereas in this one, he's like hacking into stuff and like kicking ass.
He says briefly that he can talk to machines and but whatever. But there's that what his father is explaining to him, like what he can do if he chooses to. That was an incredibly important scene for that character to be like, you can, and there was that whole scene, and the poor woman who played the single mom. Did you see her on Twitter?
No.
she was like, I haven't seen the movie. I got cut out of the first one. Can anyone just tell me if I'm in the Snyder Cut?
God.
And people were like, oh my God, like go see it. Like you're so good. Like that was a huge scene for that character.
Yes.
You know, and fuck, like how do you cut that kid out of the movie and then try to blackball him?
Like literally what Joss Whedon did was he showed up one day and they must have told him, hey, take what you have here. Here's a little bit more of the script and just we need a 2-hour movie. 2 hours. Because that's what it was. It was like 2 hours and 2 minutes. It was literally like half as long as this one. And they were just like, put it together. And like, holy smokes. I just don't know how. And not only the way Steppenwolf looked, but to have him be like the main big bad, like no other real story to it was just so insane. So also, I agree with you that Cyborg was the biggest like upgrade from one movie to the next.
Yeah.
Darkseid obviously almost doesn't count because he wasn't even. I thought the Flash was really good. I think the part with Iris West, his like love interest, who we see, could have been a little shoehorned in, but that's also the point. Is like we needed a little bit more on this kid. Like we needed to know what his deal was.
And what I thought was kind of dumb, and like Snyder does this all the time in his movies. He does these like super slow motion, highly stylized action scenes with like this melodramatic, weird choice of music.
Yeah,
like the choice in like not score, because the Junkie XL score was incredible, but the music he used, like Hallelujah, like like Leonard Cohen song, like Everybody Knows that song, and when the whole thing with she gets in the car accident, and there was that weird moment where he like grabs a hot dog and like puts it in his pocket and then like saves her. Like that was a weird scene.
Yeah, but I think it just shows you like it highlights his powers, like just how fast he is. Like that's so rather than doing like we've already seen like Quicksilver in the X-Men movies or like the Flash on the CW show, like sort of how they do speed. And so they're doing it in a different way where they're just like they're gonna rather than speed him up, they're gonna slow everything down and have him just like walking around normal.
But how about them just even mentioning the Speed Force and how he's like, I have to eat like constantly because I can't, like I'll rip myself apart.
Right. But then also the other part that he mentions in there, which I think they cut out of the other version, was how like he kind of has a grasp of it, but also like if he goes too fast, he knows he can fuck it up and like change time.
Yeah.
Which is
and then he does it.
So it's not a wasted line. Like so then he does it and it's not out of nowhere and he knows that he needed to do it at that time. Like great.
And it was like what an awesome visual that was of him doing that.
Yeah.
That might have been the coolest scene of the movie.
Yeah, I think it might have been. I like that one a lot. I thought
he's not just pushing a truck. Like
so Ezra Miller, I'm a fan of. He's a good cat. I don't like the suit. I think the suit kind of stinks, but I think the character is good. And I
still in the way he does this thing. I'm gonna do it on. He does this thing when he runs, where he like throws his hands out like this.
It's like throwing like he's like lightning bolt.
Yeah, he's like, or he's like underhanded. Like who runs like that? You know what I mean? And I get it. We're supposed to slow it down. It's supposed to look like
right.
But it looks he like does like this super exaggerated arm swing, which looks weird.
And the stuff with his dad was good too. They did more of that with Henry Allen in jail.
Mm-hmm.
That's a whole thing, and they did that on the TV show. They did a good job. Whereas like his dad's in jail for the murder of his mom, even though he didn't do it.
Yeah.
You find out, I think wasn't it Zoom that did it, or maybe it was Bizarro Flat, whatever the fuck his name.
Reverse Flash.
Mm-hmm. But either way, I also read on the internet, and I don't know if this is 100%, but that
it's on the internet, so it is.
It was right at some point. Billy Crudup, who plays Henry Allen, has like scheduling conflicts and won't be in the Flash. It's like, you asshole.
Scheduling conflicts for what? Like, what are you doing?
That's a good point. I don't know.
Like, what are you doing?
I don't know. So the other cool thing about this, again, it's 4 hours long, but it felt like a comic book too when you're just talking about the number of characters that were in it.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously you have Batman, Wonder Woman, the Flash, Aquaman, Cyborg, Superman. Those are your Justice League members.
Mm-hmm.
Steppenwolf and Darkseid as your main villains. But then you have supporting characters: Lois Lane, Mira, Vulko, Alfred, Henry Allen, Iris West, Martian Manhunter, James Gordon, Silas Stone, Ryan Choi,
which was awesome.
That's the Atom.
Yeah.
But they make a point to like say what his job is, and it's the
He's
guy.
Like, what did he say? He was like the director of nanotech or something like that. So
Adam. But then also Lex Luthor, Deathstroke, and Joker. What's your problem? You got a problem?
I have a problem, but I'm going to tell you this right now. You said this is the best DC movie.
Best DCEU movie. Yeah.
The scene in The Nightmare with Jared Leto and Ben Affleck, fucking awesome.
I loved it too.
Awesome.
I didn't know where you're gonna. I loved it, and I was trying to think of the movie. What was the movie? You guys probably all have seen it. It's one of the animated ones they did. Was it Justice League Dark? Maybe Apocalypse War. It was one of these like big to-dos, like a real big bad, and there's all these like weird kind of teams that form up, and like Harley Quinn is like fighting with the heroes and stuff. It reminded me so much of that because that was such a hodgepodge group. It was so fucking cool. It was Deathstroke, Batman, Joker, Cyborg, Mira, and the Flash. Like what? And they're talking about Lois Lane, how important Lois Lane is. Superman's like, isn't he pissed at them? And it's just like, oh, that was so cool. And that version of the Joker was good.
And I loved the intensity between the two of them, where they were like, basically, like they have the truce with the card, and he's so basically saying that like, you're not gonna, Jared Leto, you're not gonna kill me, like you're not gonna kill me. And then the perfect like intensity from like Ben, he's like, make no mistake, like I will fucking kill you.
Yeah,
like that, and you're like, that was awesome.
I know.
That was awesome.
And I didn't even care. I know like dream sequences can annoy people. I didn't even care. I was like, that's just so good. But also, you remember he saw Barry Allen like in like a dream. Remember that one? And he references that here. Like, so, oh wow, a payoff. Like, holy smokes, who could believe? But like anytime Batman has a dream like that, you're like, it might be more of a premonition. And like that could happen like years down the line or something. And because we know Deathstroke just got hired by Lex Luthor. But Deathstroke said he'd kill Batman for free. So there's something there with those guys that they so that's what's so frustrating because
that's what happens in Injustice. So like our Earth's Batman, right, gets transported to like the alternate universe and sees like he saves Deathstroke in that game.
Right. Okay.
So like they team up, so it's like, And then Jared Leto, the Joker, says something like, "How many different timelines did you fuck this up?" Basically,
so good
before you got it right.
And then he's talking about like holding dead people, or like what do you say, looking people as they die, looking them in the eyes as they die, or holding dead people. So like referencing Jason Todd,
right?
So I was like, this is fucking awesome.
Or I'm still holding out hope that he is Jason Todd.
Oof. But so this version, I hope isn't the other one, that like the Suicide Squad one, like the Hot Topic one. Like, okay, he could be like spin him off somewhere else. This Joker was good though. But are we supposed to believe that that's the same one as Hot Topic Joker?
No, because that's a different timeline.
Okay.
Right. So now again, what he just did is like, all right, I don't know, I opened this door, so it could be anything. Like that could be like the third or fourth timeline.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So like.
Yeah, because the Flash looked way different too.
Didn't he have like a beard or something?
Yeah,
like the thing that like came up. Yeah,
I didn't know that was him. I'm like, is that him? I'm like, I think it is. But it was Cyborg, and then Mira. I thought that was cool too, like to get her involved. So no Aquaman, but
then she says like he's dead, and he's like, so
fucking awesome, like that. Yeah, you need a movie with that. Just characters doing whatever the fuck they're doing, like an End of Days thing,
and just have the intensity. And I'm not overstating this, between Ben Affleck and Jared Leto in that scene was like,
yeah,
I'm going to say this right now and you're going to think I'm nuts. The De Niro Pacino scene in Heat. Right?
I love it.
It was awesome.
I was awesome. But again, just so frustrating. Like, so you finally, after all this time, we get that movie, but now that whole universe has already been so disrupted, and like they're not going to do it, and they're pretty much done with it. Like they're still making movies, so we're going to get the Suicide Squad that's going to come out in August. We're going to get the Flash that comes out next November, Aquaman 2 next November, Shazam in 2023, or Shazam 2, and then Black Adam with The Rock is coming out.
I was going to say Black Adam. I was thinking we're missing one, and it was Black Adam.
But like, I don't know how connected or not connected they're going to be. We know Ben Affleck's done as Batman. We know
maybe not anymore.
Well, maybe not. You're right. That's true. I mean, people they always say like Chris Evans and Robert Downey Jr. They're done too, but they'll be back. Yeah, so maybe, but it left you wanting more. Whereas like the other movies, you're never like, oh, I can't wait for the next one. You're like, ugh, they better clean this up, and they did. In this movie, they cleaned it up.
Yeah. And the question that was asked,
Okay.
is there another movie that you would like to see a 4-hour cut of?
No, probably not.
If you knew it, it would improve it.
MacGruber. I need more backstory.
You got all you needed. We skip over that scene in MacGruber all the time when he's explaining why him and Kuntz hate each other, and it turns out MacGruber's like the worst person.
The worst guy. It's amazing. It's so good.
See, that's kind of fucked up. Thank you.
Thanks.
That's kind of fucked up. Thanks.
It's so bad.
MacGruber! He is a drinker to each night, but it doesn't affect his job. MacGruber! That guy's a social drinker! MacGruber!
So good. Yeah, man, I'll tell you, like this, obviously there's so much more to the movie, but just the point is it was good. And I wasn't sure what to expect. Definitely my favorite of this group, and some pretty memorable scenes, you know, when you're talking about the Flash and Cyborg, and that whole dream sequence actually might be the most memorable thing, for better or worse.
Woo! And I will say this. I will never watch Joss Whedon's cut, the 2-hour cut of this, ever again.
No.
But I will absolutely watch a 4-hour movie again.
I think
that's the most telling thing about the whole thing.
That's a great point. Yeah, how often are you gonna watch a 4-hour movie?
I will watch this again.
Yeah.
Because I guarantee you there's stuff we missed. Like Liam in the chat, Curly points out in the chat, Mira was carrying around water with her in the nightmare scene. Like little shit like that. Like that's cool.
That is cool. Yeah, that felt super like comic booky, like a unlikely team up, which just would have been sick.
It's like JV. It's like the JV Justice League.
Well, that's why I've always loved, and I know you do too, when Batman does stuff with Justice League Dark. Like, because it's a hodgepodge group. Oh, by the way, we didn't mention they're going to make a Satana movie.
Yes.
And the writer from Promising Young Woman is going to write it.
Excellent.
So that is great. So she is she also a magician, or what would you call her? She is. She's in there with Constantine, but that's what I was waiting for. I'm like, this movie just needed to shoehorn in like Swamp Thing and Constantine, and it would have been perfect. But
can you imagine just like Constantine like sitting on the car next to Joker, like smoking a cigarette?
Would have been like, this guy's all right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't mind this guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, what, anything else? I'm trying to think.
No, I liked it so much that I'm pissed at it.
Yeah.
Like this never and again, personal tragedy aside, and we do owe an apology to Zack Snyder, and you know, we're sorry for shitting on your stuff. This was good. Rock solid movie. It's not
according to Liam in the chat, in Cyborg's mother box vision, the dead Green Lantern is Kilowog. Yeah, they were there. There was that scene too earlier where they have a Green Lantern.
They do have a Green Lantern. Yeah,
trying to fight Steppenwolf. Yeah, it's basically like if you're describing this movie to somebody, you're like, yeah, so Steppenwolf needs to get all the Infinity Stones so he can give it to Thanos. I mean, the mother boxes for Darkseid.
No, but the fact that, you know, the aliens know that there is no lantern on Earth and there is no Kryptonian that was pretty cool.
That was cool, but there was that scene too where they killed the lantern, and then the ring like jumped, like Steppenwolf almost got the ring.
He almost caught it. Yeah.
So that's out there somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
So go ahead and grab that. Yeah. All right.
Speaking of that, did you see that Ryan Reynolds watched Green Lantern and live tweeted it?
No, I bet
it was actually pretty good. It was actually pretty funny.
That is pretty good.
One of the best tweets is he goes, "Oh, Blake Lively's in this?"
He's a funny son of a gun, isn't he?
Yeah, he is.
Pick of the bomb. Pick of the bomb. Pick of the bomb.
Pick of the bomb.
All right, Ryan, would you like to kick, receive, defer, or you may also choose to defend a goal?
What did I do last time? I kicked it to you. I will take this one. I'll take the ball this time.
Right. Yep.
I have an update. Pick of the pod. Remember, I did like this is what's coming out this week. Last time.
Yeah.
So I watched the Nate Bargatze special. It's awesome. He's super funny, and like I don't think he swears once.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Incredible. He tells some great stories. It's great. I did watch Jiu-Jitsu again, the Nicolas Cage movie. I don't know if this is awesome in the worst way or fucking horrible in the best way. Like this movie is incredible, and I need to talk about it. I might watch it and live tweet it.
Oh, okay.
Just because we're never going to do a standalone episode on it.
What is it on?
It's on Netflix.
Okay.
So if you want to watch it, it's
Jiu-Jitsu?
It's called Jiu-Jitsu, and nobody does Jiu-Jitsu.
Well, we have an open week next week. Is it worth doing?
You tell me. I'll put it to you.
How long?
It's like an hour and a half. It's like an hour and 32 minutes.
4 hours and 2 minutes.
Yeah. But my pick of the pod this week, I have one for the big kids and one for the little kids.
Perfect.
The one for the little kids. Have you seen Waffles and Mochi?
No.
It's a puppet show.
I'm in on that.
2 little puppets, and they go to different parts of the world and they talk about food. And it's executive produced by Michelle Obama.
Oh, okay.
And it has Common is a guest star, so is Jack Black, and they talk about food and all that stuff. I know you like food, and you like puppets.
I like food and puppets.
So, and who's your favorite Muppet? Who's the chef?
Well, no, I like Rolf the dog.
No, but who's the one that you like? Is the
on Sesame Street?
Yeah.
Gonger. There he is. Gonger's
Yeah.
the best Sesame Street character.
I'm a big fan of watching the new Muppet show. Pepe the King Prawn is my favorite Muppet.
Pepe's really funny, and I didn't like him at first in some of the other stuff, but the new season, he was the best one.
Yeah. And for the big kids, if you haven't seen it's another Netflix pick. I'm sorry, but The Last Blockbuster, which ironically is on Netflix, is really good, and it's interesting. First of all, Paul Scheer worked at a Blockbuster and tells some pretty funny stories about working at Blockbuster and just how movie rental places worked in the 80s and 90s. I never knew. Like, I didn't know that the reason why, like, the gas station movie rental only had 1 copy of stuff is you had to pay they said for Terminator 2, you had to pay $100 just to get a copy of that, and then you rented it out.
Yeah, and then
Blockbuster changed it.
Yeah, Blockbuster made a deal with the movie companies.
Yeah.
And so then they were paying like a few bucks, but then they were sending money to them.
Like, that's fascinating. Like
but that just like that did in all those people, and then fucking done in themselves.
Exactly. And how rubbing salt in the wound is that documentary is now on Netflix.
It is crazy. It also, but they kind of fucked things up earlier too. Like the one guy that said, "Well, it wasn't Netflix 100% that like knocked us out. It was kind of how we did business." Also, interesting that Jamie Kennedy, who plays Randy Meeks, is one of the best characters ever in Scream, working at the rental store. He was in commercials for Blockbuster. Him and Jim Gaffigan did like Blockbuster commercials. But actually, kind of funny. Yeah, that one was pretty good. My pick is I ended up watching Mank, the movie that is nominated for like 100 Oscars coming up. So that's also a Netflix movie. It's good. Like, it's a top, because I want to. I end up watching all the Oscar movies, and usually I only end up liking like a third of them. But I watched Mank because I love Gary Oldman. It's also a David Fincher film. Amanda Seyfried is in it. It's about the guy who wrote Citizen Kane.
Yes.
And so William Randolph Hearst is in the movie too. Of course, he went to St. Paul's, Ryan. I
did know that. Yeah.
St. Paul's Pelican. But it's interesting. Like if you like old Hollywood stuff, I think you might enjoy it. Good acting.
You like a lot of talking in your movies.
If you like a lot of acting, like a lot of acting, a lot of talking, a lot of words. Just pretty cool. Actually, believe it or not, I've never seen Citizen Kane, and I might watch it now, or at least start it. It's on HBO Max.
It's worth I think it's one of those things that for your cultural literacy, you need to see it.
Because some people think it's the greatest movie of all time.
At some point, it probably was. I don't think anymore.
No, you're probably right. It came out in 1941, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I don't think I've seen it. Maybe I'll start it and be like, oh fuck, I watched this forever ago. But I took a couple of like film classes in school and we watched some old ones, but not that one. I don't think I ever watched that one. But so next week we might do jiu-jitsu. We'll see. I don't know.
You gotta watch, dude. It's something.
Actually, you know what people were saying is like we probably could have done a whole episode on that David Arquette documentary.
I'd watch that again
because that was nuts.
Let's give the listeners homework this weekend.
All right, so we can see what the people want. We'll decide. We'll tweet it out this week. Also, the following week, we have a decision to make. Do we want to do Godzilla versus Kong right after it comes out, or do we want to do Falcon Winter Soldier mid-season and then do Godzilla Kong the following week?
I say we do Falcon and Winter Soldier mid-season, and then give people like the week to see Godzilla versus Kong.
Yeah, because it comes out on like a Wednesday, and so rather than doing it that coming Monday, we'll wait a week.
We'll do like a week and a half, so we'll get enough people to because it's coming out on HBO Max too, and in theaters, right?
Right. Yeah. All right, cool. So we'll do it that way. So next week, TBD, but we'll let you guys know soon. You can rate and review and subscribe to the podcast on Apple Podcasts and just about anywhere else you listen to your podcast. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Dork Podcast. Check out the YouTube stream and subscribe there, youtube.com/Dork Podcast. Also, feel free to email us at any time, dorkpodcast@gmail.com, especially your should I have bought this submissions. And also, if you listen to the podcast but also want to see, we always post a picture on our YouTube stream of what these people have bought. So you're like, hey, I want to get a good look at that, Joe Boo statue or the Halloween thermos or the Pokemon card that cost $800. Get in here and do that. Davey's on Twitch, twitch.tv/rvond. And you can also go to our Facebook page. It is the #Dork Shared Gooniverse. Find out what's going on with us. Mac and Goo, the Pop Culture Pile Driver podcast, the Change My Mind podcast, TLDR, Shime, and Dr. Joe on Twitch. Anything else, Ryan?
No, sir.
Do you know what they say about wombats?
I do know what they say about wombats. They do cube poops.
Bloody hell, what was that?